Welcome back to this episode of Dance Studio Advertising. If you're watching on YouTube, you see that I've got an unfamiliar face to you on the camera joining me today. This is Jillian DuHadway, and off camera, maybe joining us later on, business partner and life partner Rob DuHadway. So, Jillian,
Waving.
welcome. What he's waving. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Very happy
So,
to be here and talk about your fabulous platform and product.
well, I'm excited to talk about your big wins, right? That's really what we're here to do. Now, if for listeners of the show, you know that whenever we bring dance motion marketing clients, partners, studios, whatever you want to call them on, I'm intentionally kept in the dark. So Jillian has had some big win, and together we're going to discover what it is. But before we do that, as we dive into this, Jillian, give me like the 30-second rundown, who you are, tell me a little about the studio, how long you've been in business, just high level so that our listeners know sort of who they're listening to.
Okay, well, I have been a dance studio owner my entire adult life, pretty much. This is year 33 for my husband and I as business partners. We were married in August of 1992, and we took over our studio 3 days later. In the house that we live in, the studio is attached to the back. So it has been 100% studio ownership our entire marriage, literally from day one. Our studio is no longer in our home. We moved it out of our house over 20 years ago, but the journey has been, you know, this is all we do. This is our life. We're 100% committed to it. And we do have done other little things along the way, other, things that we enjoy. Like my husband is a swim coach, so he does some swim coaching, and I judge for competitions, but everything pretty much revolves around dance. Our dinner conversations, our everything that you can think of has always revolved around the dance studio. So
I
that's a
love that.
nutshell. I mean, I've always danced since the time I was 3. My mom and dad did not know that they were creating this huge monster that would become what the dance studio is now, but they're actively involved in our business as well in terms of support. And like my dad is the MC of every single recital, and I can't take that job away from him because he loves it. So our family is totally immersed. Our son works for us. He's one of our main teachers, and our daughter has been one of our teachers as well. She doesn't live here anymore. She lives about 90 minutes away, just got a new job. But yeah,
A
it's
true
it.
a true family
True.
business, like
True family
everybody,
business
everybody involved.
from the word
Absolutely love
go.
that.
Yeah.
Love that. So we're here because you've had some big wins. So I'd love to just sort of understand how we got to know each other. Because we've been working together for a little while now, and would love to just kind of get a picture of like how did we meet? Why did we meet? Because obviously you reached out at some point. How did that happen? Tell me the story of really how we got here.
How did we get to know DMM is we went to Energize
Oh, well,
last year in
did we meet
Chicago.
last year? Okay.
And we didn't really meet you um, and Christian as much as we met people that were in the audience of the lunch and learn that we came to.
Got
And we
it.
turned around and we talked to a girl. We met this girl, and she's from not that far from here in Michigan. She lived maybe an hour from us. So we just started chatting and, talking about what this was all about, because we knew that it was a sales luncheon to learn more about your program. And I was looking for marketing help, essentially, because Facebook is so confusing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, the regular Joe, like somebody like me, is not going to be able to navigate that because they're changing it all the time. So that's kind of why I went. And Rob was with me, and we talked to this girl, and we just talked a little bit about this, a little bit about that. And I finally just said to her, okay, I said, what's the bottom line? What is the monthly price? Because that's one of the main things. And she told me what the price was. And I said, okay, um, is it worth it? Because that's a really big number. Those were kind of our exact words in our conversation. And she said 100%.
Mm.
And I also, before that was established, I realized that she was utilizing it, but I couldn't tell how much. And I didn't talk to her about her growth story or anything like that. But when she just said 100%, and then I heard other people in the room, just the same kind of story was what I was feeling. I just kind of got the feeling in the room. So we got home from Energize and said, all right, do we want to set up a call? And we did. And that was in October that we actually got started
Hmm.
with you. Probably November was our first campaign of
I think that's
2024.
when we launched things was about
Yeah, so
November.
it's been
Yeah.
about 4 months, five, not quite 5 months that we've been working with the platform. And that's kind of our origin story. Is it all
Yeah.
stemmed from going to the little lunch meeting at Energize and talking and listening to just the vibe of the room and how much positivity I could hear just in the energy of the people. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe you planted them there. I don't know.
We
But
actually did not. They just were there
no,
for we bought lunch for a lot of people and they were
yeah.
just there for that, I
And the
think.
moral support that, and just the feeling that I was getting is this is a really positive group of people. It was just you and Christian were there, and I could feel your raw energy, I
Mm.
guess. That really is something that reads for me is it's genuine energy. It didn't feel like a sales pitch.
Mm.
I mean,
Just on a personal note, I love hearing that because we don't like doing sales pitches.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, it definitely you're selling it, but you were selling your business the way that I like to sell my business.
yeah.
I know that if anybody talks to me or talks to my husband and they're looking at different studios, they're never going to go anywhere else because we believe in what we do. And I think that people can feel it. And so that genuine thing really hits home with me because I know how much I love my business and I could feel how much you guys love your business just in that short time that we were listening to you.
Mm. Okay, so let's answer the elephant in the room. So you came in asking, yeah, bottom line, give it to me. Is it worth it? Uh, is it?
At this point, I can give you a very strong yes, I love this for so many reasons. Um, if people really want to hear that number, which is the big win that you haven't been told about, is since we started marketing with DMM, our studio is a pretty decent size. We have around 400 kids. We were hovering in that 400, 420 number for a long time. You know, since, we've been involved in this for a long time, but since way back in 2008, when everything went to
Yeah,
craziness
the
economy
pot.
wise, that was one of the worst times of our lives
Yeah.
because of the amount of things that how it was affecting our business. And since then, we were able to kind of stable off. Numbers are a lot different than they were pre that. Um, so we're keep thinking, well, our community will support the size that our business was before. Can we get that back? I don't know, but that's kind of in the back of our mind is we need to find ways to grow and find kids so that we can regrow the business to what it was then. At this point, since we started working with DMM, we have 66 new students
Whoa.
that have enrolled directly from the platform. And that takes our numbers up closer to 450 because there's natural attrition.
Yeah.
But just in those couple of months that we've been getting the great campaigns out there that your company is providing, along with the tools, because the tools are the key, the what you have available to be able to track and keep in touch with customers is exactly what I've been kind of dreaming of and imagining. If there just was this thing that was out there where I could talk to people and not lose track of them and not have them float away on a little note or on even a list, even an Excel list, a spreadsheet list isn't the same as what we have going inside this platform because all those contacts are there and I can get a hold of them and look at their profile and say they have a 6-year-old child. And even if I just want to go through them one at a time and target a 6 to 8-year-old class, I can put them in a little place by themselves and send them a message. And the ability to communicate with them has been life changing.
Mm.
And it shows in the numbers because 66 wins. There's a place in the platform too for the people that are listening where you can put them as an active student and then it says that you won them. And my competitive personality loves that little win box. And so does my enrollment coordinator, Katie. We both get really excited about, woo, we got another win.
I
So
love that.
there's a lot of fun things that we have found in it that are celebratory for us too, because of the way that the platform works. So that's our biggest win. And I feel like people are open to communicating to anytime. I feel like people would talk to me at 9 o'clock at night. I go away from that. I usually don't do anything after 8, but that time makes sense for a dance studio because the dance studio is open. Because our studio is open until 9:15 every night. So it's all right for me to be talking to people at 8 o'clock, but I sometimes I get messages back from people at 11
Yeah.
that they're just going through and they type the ready button. I don't get a hold of them until the next day, but it's really fun to kind of see that too, because everybody's just looking at Facebook or whatever, and they click that ready button whenever they're looking. So I've
Yeah.
had fun looking at the how things drop into the platform too.
It's amazing when you have really what like the software and the platform that we provide and the way that we've organized it and tried to build it is just to keep it really simple so it's not super complex because like nobody opens a dance studio because they're like, you know what I want to be is a software engineer. Like it just needs to work. But
Right.
really the goal is to just create visibility so you can understand those things. And I remember when we first because we used to just we didn't know. We just ran ads, and then when leads came in, we put them in a spreadsheet for studio owners. We're like, here you go.
Mhm.
Good luck. And we realized really quickly that it wasn't, I mean, once the spreadsheet gets more than fifty rows long and you start losing track of people, you don't know when you last talked to them. There's all kinds of problems
Exactly.
that
Yes.
that come up with it. And when we made the move and we kind of built out and started using the software the way that we want to use it, the way that we thought our clients needed to use it, um, it was really interesting to see parent behavior, right? And it makes
Yeah.
sense. Kids get I had my kids last night. My wife was out, so I was watching them, and I got them all in bed around 9 o'clock and tucked them in and sat down on the couch and pulled up my phone and started sending messages. Of course I did. My kids are finally in bed.
Yeah.
But it's an obvious thing, but we didn't realize it either. So it sounds like for you having the visibility, a place to track leads, a place to make sure you're not losing sight of, people, moms who raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I'm interested in this," has been game changing for you and
It
has
has
been a
been.
major part of your success and adding 66 new dancers in the last few months.
Yeah. I mean, and they're rotating in and out. I mean, there's always, like I said, there's always that attrition and there's people that drop and things, but our numbers are reflecting, I would say, such a strong growth period. Sometimes I just think, can this keep going? Are there that many more new people out there? But I think there are because people are, I mean, the world is constantly getting
Expanding.
new children born every day. And that 3-year-old mark, that's when we start our kids. And that's when I think a lot of studios do. They have to be 3 to come in our program. And there's lots of them. I mean, I walk through the store and I think, wonder if I've talked to that mom, that's got a couple of little people in the cart. It's crazy because that's all I've done is this business. But as my career has evolved and I'm getting to the point where it's not that I don't want to teach anymore. I love teaching. That's why we all open studios because we love teaching. I absolutely love it. But I'm moving out of a massive amount of teaching, which for me was 7 days a week for a lot of my life while I'm getting older. I'm not doing that anymore. And my body doesn't want to let me do that anymore. But I'm finding that I've always liked the marketing and I was always excited about when we would do a new 12-week class in the winter and I would get new kids in the building. And that was pretty much all organic, some Facebook, but it was just a lot of grinding and work and letting people know about it and flyers going out to preschools and different things that I always did like dig the marketing part, but I didn't have enough time to spend on it. So now my life is shifting and I have some more people in my life that are helping me. I have an enrollment coordinator that helps and I have an accounts manager. Hallelujah. Took me 30 years to figure out that I needed more people. Um, but now the marketing part plus teaming with this DMM thing, it's just really really fun because I like talking to people. And something else that I would like to talk about, if I can have the floor to do that,
Please do.
is the amount of communication that it takes to actually land these customers. And it's simpler than you would ever imagine. If you haven't done it yourself, there's that step one where they respond to the ad. And then I am typically doing 3 times that I'm talking to them and they're in. Three, three short little texting back and forth. The first one always says, okay, for the way that we have it set up, I just tell them what we have available. And that they ask the price, of course. They're going to ask the price. This is the price. And then I tailor that one to go specifically to their child's age because I want to know more details about them before I send them a whole bunch of junk. So here's the details with the age. It's short. And then I always end it with a question, what else can I answer for you to help you decide? And then the third one is just maybe what do they need to wear? Little things like that, where in the case of our mini sessions, we don't even require any special clothing. We have a very casual atmosphere for those. And that's what we're getting the most response of right now. After that third one, they say, where do I sign up?
Mm.
I send them the text that says, okay, looks like you're ready to sign up. This is where you go next, which leads them to our website, to the landing page, and they are registering.
Is
And
that
then they're out of my hands. They go to somebody else in my business.
is that does that I mean, you've been in business for 30 years. Does it surprise you
Yes.
how simple it has become like when the advertisement has the offer in it and we're calling out the right kind of parents and it's not just a general like enrolling class. We're getting specific. Hey, if you've got a 4 to 6 year old who wants to dance for the next 6 or 8 weeks, like what, you're educating, you're advertising the way it is today is educating buyers, potential parents, before they ever even reach out. Is it surprising to you, like when all, and we talk about this all the time, it's an engine, and when you have all the parts working as they should, it just sort of greases the gears. It's just pretty easy. It sounds like for you there was like oh, this isn't nearly as hard as I've been making it for all these years before.
Or the amount of steps that we had to go through to actually communicate the information. Email was great. It is. But text is so fast and everyone literally, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is on their phones all the time. And I also listen to all your podcasts. I'm an avid listener. I don't come to all of the meetings, but I'm a listener. So that's another little facet of DMM that is so great for me because I get on my treadmill and walk and listen to you talk to the people that you have in that are communicating about the business. And there's a lot of different things that they say that streamline it even further for me. But it's how fast that you can communicate with people and it keeps the excitement. I feel like if someone starts talking to you and they're already excited, I was talking to a grandma last night. She's so excited. I can't wait to tell my granddaughter is going to love this. I can't wait to tell my daughter. We talked for maybe 6 minutes back and forth, and I'm sure she's going to enroll her granddaughter today. It's just that fast, but being able to keep the initial excitement because it's so true. If people click the ready button and they don't hear back from you for a week or even a couple of days, they forgot
Hmm.
that they clicked it. And then you get back to them and like, what is this? They don't even remember that they did it. And then I have to refresh their memory. I try very hard to get back with them at a minimum the same day. Sometimes I don't do it on Sundays. Depends on what I'm doing because we need some days too, to try to give ourselves that grace. And right now I'm in spring break. So I've been working on a lot of projects. But because it's spring break in our area, I'm not getting a lot of response from my ads right now because everyone's either left or they shut off, which I'm glad they did. And I'm hoping that at the beginning of next week, before these next classes start, that we'll see an uptick, a little bit of an uptick, but it's just it's so fun for me because I love selling the business and I love enrolling people. And it is a numbers game constantly. Like, how many people do we have in the class? And we don't know them yet, But once they're enrolled and they're just part of the numbers, when they come in, we're so excited to get new people in the business and in the doors, because these kids that are coming in for these little 4-week sessions, they're going to become customers for longer. And if you're not a mini session person out there, okay, you need to get on that train because we have had a mini session every month since we started with DMM, and every one of them is full to our capacity, which we fill to 12 to 14 kids, and they all have that many kids in them. When the ads generate the response, and then the system is so simple to follow, just these very short little texts that it's like magic. It literally is magical for me. I can't tell you, because I've been doing this so long that I remember when people would call me and I would come home and I would have 30 blinking messages on my answering machine. And then I would have to call each of them back, get their address, mail them something in the mail, because there was no other way to communicate with them. Yes, I'm dating myself, but that was me. That was us. We would come home and have that whole series of things that we had to go through. And we would follow up with them, but follow up was only regular mail. So if they didn't respond to the packet that we put out, which also was pretty costly because it had like 4 or 5 things in it that we were sending out, and then we had to put a stamp on it and mail it. I know I'm paying for my internet service, same kind of thing, but it took so much more time too,
Yeah.
to sit there and create all those packages and print all of that material that was going out all the time. Well, here we are 35 years later, and I can literally take about as long as it takes to make a text, which is less than 30 seconds, and they might sign up just from that. It's
So,
amazing.
so for our listeners out there, I just want to put a fine point on something that Jillian is saying, but you may be missing. And it's so important that we always talk about from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you want to fall in love not with the outcome, but with the process. Because
Mm,
if you fall in love with the process of something, you'll do it again and again and again. Whereas if you're fixated on the outcome, if you don't see that fast enough or in great enough measure, classic example is, people who join the gym in January and they're like, I'm going to have a 6 pack. And then they go 3 times and they don't see any change and they give up. Well, if you fall in love with working out, just the process of going to the gym, you'll continue to go to the gym and you'll get the outcome. And what Jillian's describing here in her own way is she's fallen in love, and her team, it sounds like, has fallen in love with the process of follow up, the process of turning cold strangers into warm customers. And that's an amazing thing, because if you just do that, then, and you'll attest to this, it just feels easy. All of it feels
yeah.
easy. So let me ask you this, because I'm sure that there's listeners out there who are like, well, that's fine for you. It's good for you, but that won't work for me. And there's so many reasons why. I mean, we've heard just horror stories of studio owners that worked with other agencies that got sold the moon and then kind of disappointed by the results or ripped off, or maybe they're a solo studio owner. And they just they don't feel like they have the staff. What would you say? Like, is this a platform and a system and a methodology that only works for studios that already have 400 kids at them? Or I mean, knowing what you know now, is this something where if you're interested in growth and you're committed to it, it could work for anybody? What do you think?
I unequivocally say yes, but I will be just full disclosure, I'm not going to fail person.
Mm,
So I'm going to do what's necessary to make this work as well, which there's definitely some time that you have to spend learning this platform, but it wasn't confusing. It wasn't confusing at all. And the resources that you have in my person that I talk with, which is Katie in your organization, from the beginning, we've had support. So the amount of support that you get, even for this, what you think is the silliest question, ask it, because no question is a dumb question. It's just a question that you have. And most likely in Katie's case, she's heard that question 10 times. If she hears a brand new one, like me, after 35 years, if someone asks me a question that I've never heard before, I kind of get excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a fresh question that I have never heard in my entire dance career, studio owner career. That's amazing. Who can come up with a brand new question? But it's fun when those things happen because then you just have another thing that you feel like you need to put that information out there about that because somebody needed that question answered.
Hmm.
But getting back to your original thought is, can everybody do this or can it work for you? I've heard testimonials even through your podcast of people that were brand new studio owners that started with you and that it's working for them. It is simple, but just like anything, it requires diligence. You need to be diligent in your kind of streamlining your setup of the series of things that you want to go out to people, which it took me a couple of months to kind of really streamline that. And then once they get through a couple of conversations, streams with me, going back and forth texting, then it really does become a conversation. So I'm just conversing with them about the specific things that they need and really tailoring it to their situation. But the diligence is in that initial setup. And then I
Hmm.
have a monthly call or every couple months call that I'm talking to somebody from DMM and they'll help me. You know, there's Christian, who we're not seeing on this podcast because he doesn't do this part, but he is the person that I can go to in a meeting and say, I need to get all of these inactive customers out of my studio software and put them over in DMM and have a little, what's called a smart list, my little smart list of all of them. And it's called DSP inactive. And it was a couple of hundred people. He helped me in just a few moments move that over to DMM. And now I'm talking to my inactive customers in text blasts every couple of weeks. And every time I put out a text message that says, this is coming up, this is what's coming up at DuHadway Dance, I get a minimum of 3 customers off of that inactive list
Awesome.
that sign up that were part of our studio before and left for whatever reason. And because I was able to put them into DMM with a very quick little help from Christian in a meeting, support staff, boom. Now I'm directly marketing to them. And I had not lost my marketing with them, but it wasn't being done as well as it can be done through DMM because it's that quick text blast that
Hmm.
goes directly to their phone. I was sending out emails with attachments for the things that were coming up and still simple, still short and sweet, but they don't have the same impact as a text because that is what we're living in. And oh boy, my son is just another facet of my life. He's 29, and for 5 years, he's been fighting with me about my resistance to text.
Mm.
I thought for a while, for this until pretty much DMM opened my eyes to it, that texting was not professional, that it was maybe an unprofessional way to communicate with people, too informal. That's just me, probably just because of my age and dating myself with how people were communicating with each other. Because I even felt like I shouldn't communicate with my staff that way, that maybe sometimes I thought maybe it was an intrusion on their life because there I was in their phone in their face. But now we have Slack, which is a communication system right within our studio with for our staff, and everybody loves it because it's so quick and easy and concise. So that's another thing that DMM kind of did for me is it turned that corner of me realizing, no, texting is not unprofessional. It's not bad. It's not um, too informal of a way to communicate with people. It's the easiest and quickest, and people love it. And
Hmm.
if they don't love me, they can opt out.
Hmm.
So
Love that.
that's too.
I've just really enjoyed having this conversation and listening. If you're wondering, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, what are all these calls that she's talking about? Well, our team at DMM, yes, we do build ads and we manage those ads, and yes, we have a software component to what we do that makes managing your leads, and this is what Jillian, you've largely been talking about, just really easy. It's visible. There's a lot
So
of
easy.
visibility. It's all in one place. It's consolidated. But on top of all of that, we offer live support channels where our clients and studios can show up and get help a couple times a week on the technological and on the software. We do every couple of weeks, we do a mastermind, a true mastermind. So anything you're struggling with in your business, you can show up and just ask the question and somebody's been through it and they'll say, hey, here's what I did and it worked great, or here's what I did and I don't recommend it. Cautionary tale, like avoid that. Just allows you to really grow and accelerate. We do have studio success managers, and all of ours are current or former dance studio owners because, like, we got into this. We're not dancers. I'm not a dancer. We're very open about that. We didn't know the ins and outs and would never know the ins and outs of running a studio like someone who has experience running a studio. And so all of our success managers are studio owners or have been. And so they're like, yep, I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. And so it just allows for real support in a way that Christian and I, as a couple of non-dancers, could never do. And so that's a little bit about backstory. If you're listening, you're like, what are all these calls that Jillian's referencing? Those are them. And they're
Mhm.
really, really powerful.
Yeah, and that is part of the package of what we have enjoyed so much. I've been a member of different studio growth organizations. I mean, I've been doing this for so long that I was going to get those sooner or later. I was going to invest in those things. Um, and all of them have been beneficial because, again, I'm a person that kind of dives in and I figure out quickly what I will want to utilize and what is not going to be for me. And not everything in that you guys are offering is something that I dive into head first. Um, but the calls, the support calls, my one-on-one time when I get to talk with Katie, who is a former studio owner and helps me with just kind of getting the campaigns off the ground and doing the different things. The marketing is what I was after when I initially came into the Lunch and Learn. I wanted a way to get advertising and help me with Facebook advertising. I thought that's what this was going to be, but this is not what that is at all. I feel like this is a completely different thing. This is I don't even know the best way to describe it. My husband would probably come up with much more creative words, but just the ads are like secondary to everything else that's happening. It's the way that it allows me to communicate with the customers. That's the number one thing of why I am so excited about DMM every single day is that it's so easy for me to communicate with the people that want to know about me. It's, it goes beyond what people maybe think of as marketing. Marketing is ads and flyers and ways to get your information out there. That's the initial thing that happens that DMM does is put the ads out there, but then it goes beyond that. And it has this system and platform that you can talk to people. And then in combination with that, this is crazy. It's like mind blowing. It really is. I can't tell you how excited I am about being a part of this. Is that if I'm having any trouble doing that part, I can go over here to this third part, which is help and support. And then if you want to, you can get on to the mastermind calls with other dance studio owners and pitch your things to them and then get more feedback. It's it's like a trifecta. It's fabulous.
Well,
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm definitely one of your biggest fans.
Well, Jillian, I'm one of your biggest fans. I was gonna just say thank you very much for coming on. For me, because again, I'm left in the dark on these. So, so when you signed up, I'm like, okay, somebody's had a big win. What is it? And so hearing how you've grown, you have jumped in, you've done the work,
Yeah.
and it is work. And I want to be very clear about that. It's not magic. I think a lot of marketers in the dance world have kind of misrepresented what happens here. It does take time. It does take
Yeah.
like shifting your thinking in your brain. It takes trying new things like leaning into text messaging, which you've been resistant to for very valid reasons.
It was.
Trying new things and breaking out of the mold. But when studios do, they get results like yours. And so I'm really happy for you. I'm thrilled to hear that we met at a lunch and learn. It was kind of let's give it a shot and it's working for you at the level that it is. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
story. I'm
And
really excited to see what happens down the line.
yeah, it definitely takes a team though. And it takes for me, and I don't, maybe this isn't true for everybody, but I am very emotionally driven when it comes to who I work with. So, and I think that you guys are clear with that too, because you say that when you talk to a studio, you're not automatically going to accept them into your program. You're a little selective, making sure that you can feel that it's going to work right. And I'm sure everyone is not a home run, but that's very important to me too. Most of my staff, all of my staff, except for two people, and I have a staff of 20, are alumni. I kind of grew my own staff because I've been doing this for so long. So it's important that the people that I work with, they kind of get me because it's easier for expectations to be put out there if the people that are working in your organization are on board and not just working for you for it's not just a job. It's really important to them. And just to come back around full circle, when I first met you guys, that's what I felt. This is not just a job for them. They truly want to know the people that they're working with. And it's reflected in everything that you do to keep this growing and listening to us, getting the feedback from us, and then being able to come up with viable solutions or constantly new innovative things that are going to elevate what you have to offer for us. It's not just for your bottom line. I feel like we're in it together. So thank
Yeah.
you for that because it's it's not every day that you can meet people that an immediate feeling comes to my heart of these people love doing what they're doing. I can feel it. And I think that the people that organize, energize where we were, I feel that way about them too. That they truly bring in somebody like you that is going to have their heart in it. So that's the big reason that we're together is because I sensed that from the beginning. And it's continued throughout our relationship, as small as our relationship is, as short as the time we've been together. It stays. Every time I hear from you guys, there's a new idea, a new innovation, a new something that you're doing, but it is to assist me in what I need. And we're together in it. We're doing it together. So thank you.
My absolute pleasure. Okay. Well, that's it for this episode of Dance Studio Advertising. Jillian DuHadway, thank you very much for hanging out, for sharing your story, for being real, and truthfully, um, for telling me and sharing with me what it is about what we do that's resonating with you, because that's our hope. We're very open about the fact that we're on a mission to help 500 dance studio owners double their revenue, enrollment, and profit. We always say you don't have to be a paying customer for us to want to help you. And the fact that that's coming out, the fact that you're feeling that's what's resonating with you on a very personal
Yeah,
level.
good job.
Yeah,
It's working. You guys are doing it. Your heart is in it. I can feel it every day.
yeah,
So thank you for that.
amazing. That's it for this episode. We'll see you same time, same place.